Wonderful. Good afternoon, everyone. That's wonderful. We're excited about the money that is coming to Allegheny County. Welcome, Secretary Buttigieg, to Allegheny County. We took care of the weather for you today, so it's not what we were experiencing last week. It's a pleasure to have the Secretary here, Senator Fetterman, Congresswoman Lee, Congressman DeLuzio, and our friends from Pittsburgh Regional Transit, as well as our friends in organized labor. Thank you all for being here. We know that governing and securing funding of this magnitude is a team sport, and it's taken a lot of work for us to get to this moment. I want to thank my predecessor, former County Executive Rich Fitzgerald, for your work and now in your leadership leading the SPC, for your tireless work not only on this grant, but the grants that are yet to come to our region. I know that Congresswoman Lee and Congressman DeLuzio, you and your staff worked very, very hard to bring this money back to the region, and I just want to thank you for that. And finally, to Secretary Buttigieg and the Biden administration, thank you for your vision and helping to support grants and investments like this that are so critical to regions like Allegheny County across the United States. So infrastructure that supports mass transit, builds up barriers against landslides, creates complete streets, and diverts flooding and stormwater is a key component to our shared future. At its best, infrastructure investment certainly creates jobs, and we love creating jobs. But it also has the capacity to make communities more resilient in the face of climate change, improve public safety, and the quality of life of our residents here. And I believe that this project is going to do all of the above for people across this region. So thank you all for being here. Thank you to the folks behind me. And now I'm happy to turn it over to my friend, Congressman Chris DeLuzio.
Don't let it blow away.
Hello, everybody, and thank you, County Executive Innamorato. Great to be here today. Couldn't be happier to be in Swissvale, which I have the honor of sharing with my colleague from the 12th, Representative Lee. It's great to be here with both you, County Executive, Congresswoman Lee, Secretary Buttigieg, Senator Fetterman, the hardworking men and women of ATU Local 85. I know we're in the House. And lots of laborers here in the House today, lots of leaders representing us in Harrisburg and others. We're here today to celebrate a pretty great piece of news. $142 million federal investment in our roads, our public transportation, our safety. It's a long overdue investment, one that is going to make a real difference in the lives of my constituents here in Swissvale, Wilkinsburg, Edgewood, Forest Hills, Penn Hills, Churchill, Braddock Hills, folks all over Western Pennsylvania. I'm proud to join so many I know who fought really hard for this investment, to push the Department of Transportation to deliver it, and I'm grateful the Biden administration is delivering once again for this region of ours. Folks are going to save time and money because this federal investment is going to make traffic better. They're going to have higher quality transit service, public transportation with faster and more reliable buses to get folks on time to school, to their jobs, to medical appointments, to errands, you name it. We're going to see fewer emissions. We're going to clean up our air by seeing these investments in electric buses, and people are going to be safer because this federal investment is going to protect against flooding damage, add in better signals and safety technology, improvements that should prevent hundreds of crashes every year. We're going to see more jobs, union jobs, because this federal investment, that's right, will support thousands of union jobs, hundreds of millions of dollars of economic activity back into our economy. That's a whole lot that we should be celebrating, and I think another example about how the Biden administration is investing in this region and this country with good, solid union jobs. We're celebrating an infrastructure money across our region. My district alone, Route 28, new airport terminal construction. And ask for some more help there, Mr. Secretary. $850 million, Montgomery Lock and Dam on the Upper Ohio, and on we can talk about it. That infrastructure and all of it impacts our lives every day, from our economy to our jobs, our safety, and more. And I also want to thank you, Mr. Secretary, while you're here, for your strong support of rail safety, which I've been trying to push with my colleagues and others to keep communities like ours safer. We need better laws to protect freight rail, to protect our communities, and hold big railroads accountable when they put us at risk. So I'm going to keep fighting with my colleagues in Congress to bring more and more back to Western Pennsylvania, just like today's announcement. And so I'm proud to turn to my colleague, with whom I share Swissvale, from the 12th Congressional District, Representative Lee.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to not just Swissvale, welcome to the very street that I have lived on since I was 15 years old. I don't live on it right now, so don't look for me. But it's such an honor to be here on such an important day in our journey to building a well-connected and thriving region. I'm here not just as your elected representative, but someone who lives and cares deeply about the future of every one of our communities in both of our districts. That's why I'm so proud to be here today alongside all of you, our sisters and brothers in labor, our secretary and the administration, who I'm proud to have been able to thank at least twice in our year here, and so many others to secure and celebrate the $142 million funding to transform the Parkway East and the MLK busway that we are on right now. And let's be clear, the funding isn't just about roads and buses. This is about people, it's about jobs, and it's about the quality of life here in this region. So imagine this, the Parkway East, which we all know too well as being, I believe, the 5th most congested highway in the country, will have less traffic soon, fewer accidents, and will be much more efficient. The funding we're celebrating today is a promise of change and a promise of time back that belongs to your family and to your loved ones. We know the Parkway can be a pain, but think for a second about just our parents and our caregivers who won't be thinking about rushing home and will be able to focus on traffic. Think about this project for our seniors and our community members, our students who are just trying to get to school on time, and our workforce who will maybe cut out an hour or moments. Every moment counts for our workforce who has to calculate with specificity how much time it's going to take them to get to work and to commute every day. And we're not just cutting commute time or giving hours back. This investment will address the bathtub area in downtown, which we all know is a notorious spot for flooding. Now it'll no longer be a threat, but a safe, reliable part of our commute. The improvements we're dedicating to implementing today are comprehensive, focusing not only on easing congestion, but enhancing the safety and overall well-being of every individual. And there will be positive environmental impacts that will come from this project. So we are excited about how it will boost our safety and our well time, but also our economy, with over 2,500 good-paying union jobs on the horizon and an injection of $255 million into our local economy. We're setting the stage for growth, for prosperity, and for opportunity. So fixing the Parkway for folks in our community is a testament to what we can achieve when we work together, when we're focusing on what truly matters, the people. So with that, it is my honor and pleasure to introduce another of our colleagues, Senator Fetterman, who is also from just a hop, skip, and a jump away.
Oh, I don't know about this.
I didn't move it down for you because I was going to move it down.
Oh, yeah. At any rate, I think I could literally walk here from how closely I live here. Just right down there in Braddock. And back in 2009, when I was the mayor of Braddock, has anybody ever heard something in a while? The Mon-Fayette Expressway. Remember that? When people thought that was a great idea to build a 4-lane highway through poor black neighborhoods. And I was the only elected official that was opposing that. And now that's been long now dead. And now we're going to celebrate what's now we have Hazel Green now that would have been destroyed if they'd have built that stupid road. And now we're here to celebrating today this kind of investment now that's going to serve these kind of communities instead of building a highway right through the middle of that right now. And I'm grateful to be here to stand with you today as your senator. And I'm out here to celebrate and now introduce really probably the hardest working person right here, standing right at least next to me right now. There you go.
evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming this afternoon. Just want to say my name first off, Brandon Collins, 15-year Staff Sergeant, Army veteran. Secondly, I've been with the company PRT for the last year and a half. It'll be 2 years this July. As somebody to be able, brand new to the company, to be able to stand here in front of all of you, I just want to say thank you for the opportunity. Number two, I want to thank the Senator and along with all the other dignitaries up here for everything that they've done. I feel like this grant, for somebody that's on the lower end of things, and I hate to say it that way, it's going to be big, not only for the residents here, but anybody who travels up and down the busway on these buses and or in your cars. You've seen the amount of potholes and everything else that these vehicles sustain. So with that being said, across the whole region, I think the grant will do wonders for not only lowering the maintenance on the buses, our personal vehicles, but everything else in general, and it'll hopefully make for a smoother ride to and from the East Busway downtown, or to wherever everybody's going for their daily commutes. So with that being said, I want to introduce Secretary Pete Buttigieg.
Well, thanks very much. First of all, thank you, Brandon, for the introduction, for the work that you do every day. I'm so excited to be with our partners in organized labor, including ATU, and so thankful for what our transit operators do every single day. I want to recognize Mayor Swartzwelder of the Borough of Swissvale, Catherine Kellerman, CEO of PRT. Thank you for helping to host us today. Rich Fitzgerald. I remember when this whole bill was a twinkle in our eye, and now it's delivering funding just a few short years after we were selling the idea of an infrastructure law here in Pittsburgh and around the country. I want to recognize Mayor Gainey of Pittsburgh. The job of mayor has only become more demanding and more challenging since I wore the title. And we view the measure of our success as whether we make life a little bit easier for the mayors of the world. I'm so appreciative of being here with County Executive Innamorato. Congratulations on taking on this role. You're off to a great start. Looking forward to working with you. I want to thank Lieutenant Governor Davis for joining us, and recognize Governor Shapiro, who I had a great conversation with yesterday. When your state leadership understands the importance of infrastructure, as your governor and lieutenant governor do, a whole new world of things become possible with us at the federal level. So thank you for your continued leadership. And I certainly want to recognize your extraordinary delegation. Representative DeLuzio, who, by the way, as we approach the 1-year anniversary of the Norfolk Southern derailment not far from here in East Palestine, any member of Congress who was quick to talk about that issue a year ago should be quick to follow his lead and sign on to the Railway Safety Act before we reach that 1-year mark and actually do something about this. But in Representative DeLuzio and in Representative Lee, you have two members of the House who I can guarantee you do not hesitate to get my attention repeatedly if necessary, anytime there is an opportunity to make this community better off. So it's nice to be able to make those good news calls. And we're proud of the support that we have with them. And likewise, Senator Fetterman is somebody who is a relentless advocate for Pennsylvania, for the communities here, for the need to get them funding, and he is an ally in change for President Biden and this administration. And likewise, I know that Senator Casey couldn't be here today, but he and I have talked about this project extensively, and we wouldn't be here if it weren't from the support that we got from him and from this delegation to get this infrastructure package done in the first place. It's been a great day already for us here in Pittsburgh. I was just at Carnegie Mellon earlier, where they're building a new university transportation center with funding from our department to enhance transportation safety and bring together experts from around the U.S. And I'm reminded of previous visits here, including back when I was mayor, bringing a delegation to Pittsburgh to study the way that you had taken this community, this river city, this whole region, and gotten it onto a new footing after everything that people had been through here economically, a story that resonated with us in my industrial Midwestern hometown. And I remember making one of my first visits as secretary right here. We went to the Monongahela Incline. We went on a boat down the river and looked at the McKees Rocks Bridge as part of what was then called the President Biden's American Jobs Plan. making the case that we ought to have an infrastructure bill in this country. And it's remarkable today, as we've gotten so used to it, that it's easy to forget how hard it was to get done. Now that the bill is so popular that even the people who voted against it are trying to take credit for it. It is important to remember that it took a huge amount of lifting to get that legislation done. And now we are seeing the results. Now we actually have the funding to get this done. The dirt is flying. Workers are getting jobs on these projects. I was in Allentown not long ago at a ribbon cutting, one of the first times we've seen a project actually completed that was funded with this infrastructure legislation. It's going to mean better airport checkpoints and traveling through that airport more quickly. There are some 40,000 infrastructure projects happening around the United States right now, and more in the pipeline. Some of them are the work of a single construction season. We'll be cutting ribbons on them by fall. Others are attending to what I call the cathedrals of our infrastructure, efforts that will take years and create jobs during those years until they get done. And we are breaking records when it comes to creating new jobs, making sure that Americans from all backgrounds have the training and support that they need to build new skills and support their families. I saw an example of that at the airport, where there is a child care center to make sure that child care is not a barrier for anyone who could be an outstanding construction worker to have a chance to work on that project. We need more where that came from. The rebirth of American leadership means so much to me as a child of the industrial Midwest, because I saw in my own hometown what it meant to lose jobs when industry went away, and then what it meant to rebuild them, partly through attention to a resource like a great river, partly through attention to the economic power of educational and medical institutions, largely through the power of a workforce that even when it lost jobs, never lost its work ethic and was ready to grow when the economic winds came back. And thanks to the importance of infrastructure. Through President Biden's $1.2 trillion infrastructure plan, this is what we are now finally following through on. This week, President Biden announced that we are investing $4.9 billion for 37 transformational infrastructure projects, many of them so large and so complex they would have been impossible to build without a dedicated source of funding. Through our grant programs, one called MEGA and the other called Infra, we are creating hundreds of thousands of new, good-paying American jobs, jobs for people with and without college degrees that can build generational wealth and drive economic development in cities, towns, and rural areas. They're implementing safety improvements that are saving lives. They're improving freight mobility, getting goods to where they need to go, keeping costs down across the supply chain, contributing to the fight against inflation, and adding new truck parking so that drivers have a safe place to rest when they need it. And they're reducing emissions from freight and passenger vehicles, using sustainable materials, and improving climate resiliency so that the air you breathe is cleaner and the places you call home can withstand impacts from the climate crisis that we are seeing more and more around the country and around the world. That's why we are so thrilled to be here with you today to announce $142 million for the Eastern Pittsburgh Multimodal Corridor project. It's going to make life easier, better, and safer for 100,000 some people who travel through these systems daily. I want you to know that this is a very competitive process. Even though we've got historic funding, between these two programs, we got hundreds of applications seeking tens of billions of dollars of funding, far exceeding the amount that we had. So the projects that made the cut, the ones that we selected, are the best of the best. And it's a tribute to the local leadership here in this region, including Pittsburgh Regional Transit, including PennDOT, who we worked with so closely to deal with that I-95 bridge collapse, and who it's nice to be with celebrating good news, as well as working together in tough times. The Southwest Pennsylvania Commission, all of whom worked together on this application. Your champions on Capitol Hill, like those who are at my side right now. Community advocacy groups, organized labor, and so many others who believed in this project. The I-376 Parkway East Corridor is one of the oldest urban interstates in the U.S., and frankly, it's showing its age. It is badly congested for about 12 hours every day. Martin Luther King Jr. East Busway is a lifeline to so many, but it's been 40 years since it opened. Over a dozen routes use the busway, and it's long overdue for safer, cleaner, faster upgrades. Whole stretches of business are walled off to people who don't own cars. And then there's the matter of the famous bathtub. And I gotta tell you, so in our household, I got 2 kids, twins, son and a daughter, 2.5 years old. And I happen to be in charge of bath time. So I'm surprised to find myself in anything but a pro-bathtub position, given the role that bath time plays in our toddlers' routines. But this is not that kind of bathtub. As I don't have to tell you, flooding along this stretch of I-376 can go longer than 600 yards, 6 football fields, end to end, causing detours, dangerous crashes, and weaker infrastructure overall. The bathtub is not just an obstacle to overcome, it's a warning sign. It's a warning sign that it is long past time to upgrade the entire corridor to be more resilient against the climate crisis. And I'm proud that plans for the Eastern Pennsylvania Multimodal Corridor answer that call. So, with funding from the Biden-Harris administration, we're making it possible to take care of the bathtub and reduce local flooding-related road closures and detours, which means safer, faster trips for about 44,000 drivers every day. We're going to be able to fix 10 bridges along that east busway in need of repair and add 5 new electric buses to the mix, which will increase emissions, increase safety, and help avoid delays. And we're going to be able to build nearly a mile of sidewalk near transit stops, which means easier access to local businesses or doctor's appointments, whether you got a car or not. And to anybody who thinks things like sidewalks or bike infrastructure are just ornamental or nice to have, I want to stress they are an investment in safety as we combat the crisis of roadway deaths in this country. Bottom line, we're going to see more good union jobs. We're going to see easier, safer, more affordable access to the hubs of downtown Pittsburgh and Oakland, especially for the communities surrounding the corridor who depend on reliable transit close to home. And this, of course, is part of a bigger story. And that story is about making sure we take care of the basics so that people can go about everyday life a little easier. The projects that we're celebrating are happening at a scale that requires collaboration across every kind of government, labor, environmental leaders, engineers, industry, communities, and we're getting it done across the country. Just to give you a few other examples, we're replacing the I-5 bridge over the Columbia River between Oregon and Washington in a project that's been talked about for decades. Will help withstand the impact of earthquakes and address a serious choke point for commuters. We're building a new terminal at the Port of New Orleans with a 1,700-foot wharf that will accommodate vessels up to twice the size of current limits, with economic impact so great from that New Orleans area shipping that you'll feel that economic benefit all the way here in Pittsburgh, whether you see it or not. And we're replacing the 1.5 mile long Blatnick Bridge that connects Duluth, Minnesota to Superior, Wisconsin, that President Biden was celebrating in person yesterday. This opportunity is something that we've been waiting for our entire lives and then some. And what I love about this moment is we're actually able to deliver. But now for the hard part, we must deliver. And I know that the very same allies that we turn to help get President Biden's infrastructure package passed in Congress will be there to help make sure that projects like this are a success. When we do, we're going to be so proud of the work that we did together. So thank you for everything that you've done to bring us to this point, and keep up the great work. Congratulations.